Seattle. There have been some contentious games against them in the rain in the history of this franchise. What are you expecting for tomorrow's match, or Sunday? Yeah, Sunday's match.
It's going to be a great match. We have two good teams. Obviously, we have a history with Seattle. It's a great rivalry. We're looking forward to it. You know, like I said, it's just another game in terms of 3 points, but you know, it's one of the few where really you can't say it's just another game, because it's not. And you know, it means a lot to us. So we know it means a lot to the supporters, but it means just as much to us to play Seattle and hopefully get a win.
What did you think of Martin's goal last week?
Great goal. A great goal. Shows his quality. You know, you watch that game, it's a pretty even game, but you know, he pulls a playoff like that, and you know, that's what he's capable of doing. And they've got other players that step up and make plays like that to win their team games.
You guys have done well against big name players, but they do have multiple weapons. How are they different, maybe, than some other teams we've had one or two guys to focus on?
I think it's we've played really good players in this first part of the season. I don't think we've played a tandem probably as talented as Dempsey Martins. So we've played individually some guys in games, you know, Kaká, Keane, guys like this, but the tandem of Dempsey Martins, those two guys individually, but then also how they play together, I think will be probably our biggest challenge of the year.
Seattle, coming off your successful year in 2013, said that added something a bit to the rivalry. Do you think it's the same is true now that they're coming off such a successful season?
I think that rivalry is always going to be the same regardless of where the teams are at. You know, so tables have turned a little bit. You know, obviously we had a lot to prove. 2013, we proved it, you know, obviously during the year and getting some results against them, and in the playoffs, obviously moving on the series against them. And then they obviously, you know, last year had a lot to prove, and they proved it, you know. So here we are now in a bit of the rubber match in the 3 years. So ultimately, it's a game we always want to win, always want to win. And like I said, it does. We know it means a lot to our supporters, but it means a lot to us. You know, it would mean a lot to us in terms of where we're at to get 3 points, but also it would be that much sweeter.
You guys, I don't think have won a game in Citrus League except for in the playoffs against them. What's difficult about playing there?
Well, it's you look at the crowd, obviously, the turf. You know, but they're a talented team, so you know, obviously, you know, when you have a talented team, they're going to be hard to beat. So I think it's those things, right? They have a big crowd, biggest in the league, right? And they have one of the best teams in the league. So you put those two things together, that's why they're tough to beat.
A couple of new guys will experience the rivalry for the first time. Nat, Espria, maybe. Do you say anything to them about it and just what to expect?
You don't have to. They know it. The guys talk about it, you know. Yeah, I don't need to say anything. They know it. The guys will remind them. They will make them aware, well aware. Obviously, I'll talk about it. You always, as a coach, talk about those things a little bit, but I don't think I need to say anything for the new guys to understand, you know, this type of rivalry.
Is it more of a challenge from the sidelines in a game like this to make sure your team's playing whatever way you want to play? In other words, you can get emotional and open up sometimes when these teams play?
I think every game, you know, as a coach, you got to dominate your emotions. I've done that well some games, not so well some games. I'm 3 years into being a professional coach. I'm 40 years old, so you know, you look at a guy like Siggy, and he's coached in this league a long time, so it's probably a bit easier for him to stay even keel. But I think I've overall this year done a good job of that. And last year maybe I didn't some games. So I try to focus on what I can control, and that's making sure my team's prepared, and then in the game reading what's happening and being ready to make adjustments and make the right moves. And the more you can focus on that, the better. It doesn't do me any good to get all wound up before the game and during the game. So I'll stay very even keel, and the team will be prepared. It'll be a great game. We have to do things right to win the game, but so do they. So it's going to be an exciting game, and I'm looking forward to it. The players are looking forward to it. I'm focused on the job that I have to do more than anything else. You use the rivalry as motivation sometimes. The psychological side of preparing a team is important. So you use some of those little sidebars to make sure the guys have the right edge. But other than that, I'm focused on what I need to do to make sure we get 3 points.
Yeah, I was sort of interested too in how you keep your players from getting caught up in the emotions and maybe playing a different tempo than you would like, or that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean it's a part of being a professional. I mean, they know that. They need to keep focused on the job they have to do too. So it's the same thing. We're professionals, and in this type of game, it's easy for me because I don't really need to worry about whether or not they're up for it. So this is the type of game where pre-game you stay out of their way. Last thing they need is a rah pre-game speech. They'll be ready. So that's nice from a coaching standpoint to know that you don't need to worry about them being up for it and ready for it.
Seattle will be missing Chad Marshall. He's obviously a huge part of their defensive unit. What changes are you expecting from them to compensate from that, and does that open things up for you at all?
Well, obviously Chad Marshall's a very good player. He's a guy that's a handful on set pieces. He helps them defensively on set pieces, and he's a guy through the run of play that's linchpin for them. Organizing their line and winning balls in the air. So it does impact their back line, but they have other good players. I mean, a guy like Zach Scott, for instance, was a starter every game last year when they won, for the most part, when they won the Support Shield. So if he's in there, he's a very good player, and he's deceptive in the air as well. He's very good in the air. So if he's in there, then will it be different? Yeah. Will they be thin as a team? No. They're still a good team.
We saw Yardy make his first appearance in the last match. What sort of improvement are you hoping to see from him this time around, assuming he plays?
Well, again, the nice thing about him is he can play either side. So it's a really good quality to have in your wingers, so they can play either side. So you can move them how you need to move them. Maybe that's different in different games. Maybe it's in game you make like we did, and adjusting his movement. But I expect thought he came to life in the second half. So I expect that he'll probably start a little better in this game. But he's a good player.
Go ahead.
Oh, speaking of Yarte, update on Rodney and his status.
Yeah, Rodney's still sore with the knee. Did a little bit on the pitch today. So we'll know a little bit more tomorrow in evaluating him. So it'll probably be a game time decision whether or not he starts, travels. We're training and traveling tomorrow, so we'll know more after training tomorrow.